from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the site of the Democratic Convention. Andy, 4.5 hours until the convention officially sorts of kicks off in prime time. Give us a sense in terms of what you've been seeing there today.
Awfully quiet, David. The Wisconsin Center that you see behind me, a lot of police presence out here today and some barricades, as you see back there, but a quiet day. Of course, no one's expecting too much. If there are going to be protesters, they have not shown up yet. There have been some anti-abortion type folks who have been out here just sort of distributing leaflets and a plane flying overhead with that message, but otherwise quiet. Of course, the pandemic is keeping everybody away, including Joe Biden. They will officially gavel in and out of this convention each day from here in Milwaukee. Also, the Wisconsin delegation will be here, and the governor will speak from here. And there's a big control room with all the live feeds and video that they will be using to send out and in around the country on this virtual convention. But otherwise, awfully quiet and kind of sad, really, for the folks in Milwaukee who are losing a lot of money and a lot of enthusiasm over this thing.
Andy, I understand. I mean, it's so interesting. There's Donald Trump in Wisconsin on this day, members of his family. You were telling me earlier that several Democrats are urging that Joe Biden come to the state at some point, even if he can't come for the convention, that he needs to come there and campaign. Otherwise, Democrats face perhaps a repeat of losing the state as they did in 2016.
Right, and that was largely because Hillary Clinton did not campaign in the state at all, and Donald Trump did. That went a long way with Wisconsin voters. In fact, he became the first Republican to win Wisconsin since 1984. And as you mentioned, Donald Trump is in Wisconsin today. Coming up later, he'll be about 2 hours north of here in Oshkosh at a small airfield where he'll be holding a small rally. And the Trump campaign says, look, everybody, Wisconsin voters are being ignored by Joe Biden not showing up. The Biden camp says that Trump is putting his own supporters at risk by holding these smaller rallies of the coronavirus. But either way, Trump is in Wisconsin today, trolling Biden, certainly. Also, Eric Trump will be here in Milwaukee tomorrow. Vice President Pence will be in Wisconsin this week, along with a big tour bus called Women for Trump, touring the state. So the former Clinton spokesman of the Clinton White House, Robert Weiner, has been putting out a lot of op-eds around the state saying, look, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, please, please, please come to Wisconsin and avoid what we saw last time in 2016. We'll see if he does that, but they are urging him to come to Wisconsin sometime after the convention, at least to put in some FaceTime here, David.
And by the way, for anybody who is just joining us, whether it's on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook Live, I'm talking to Andy Rosen with the technology help of HAPS. HAPS has been very helpful to us. It's a new sort of live stream technology that we're using at Quick Hits News in order to be able to bring you these live reports. Andy, one suggestion may be to sort of bring down the microphone. It sounds like you're peaking just a little bit, and I don't know if that's going to make any difference or not. But Andy, also, why don't you, if there's some way to sort of pan or sort of show sort of the scene around the convention? Is there a way to sort of move the camera around, even if there are other reporters or police just standing about?
And I would, unfortunately, right now, we are in a kind of an alleyway where there's nothing going on either side. I'm blocked off just on either side. But I can tell you this, there are some reporters, local, and I think maybe a couple of folks that I don't recognize, maybe nationally, kind of wandering around. But the vibe is, unfortunately, again, from Milwaukee, pretty dead around here. There just isn't much activity at this point. Now, it all kicks off officially tonight, so we might be a little premature. There is a large police presence walking around here just in case. There's been some talk of protesters showing up at some point to make their point heard. You know, they're looking for someplace physical to go to. Without all this being a virtual convention, there's no physical place to go to. So we do expect that, maybe not tonight, but over the coming days, we do expect protests of some kind.
All right, we're having a little difficulty with the signal here from Andy Rosen, but this is Andy. I think you're back. Let's try this again. Keep going.
Sure. And I was going to point one other thing out, too. We talked earlier, David, about how important Wisconsin is to this election and the voters here. And an interesting thing that I found interesting was in the last few weeks, Wisconsin police around the state have been reporting a large number of thefts of yard signs, both Biden signs, and Trump signs. In fact, in one county in western Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago, dozens of Biden signs were stolen almost as soon.
One of the great joys of live broadcasting, whether it's live television or live streaming. Sometimes there are issues that still have to be sort of worked out, but this is a talk live, able to stream live with Andy Roseman, who's in front of the Democratic Convention Center, I guess you could call it, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right, where there's essentially a series of control rooms, and they're going to be bringing in hundreds of feeds over the next several hours tonight, starting at 9 p.m. Andy, it's an interesting technology that you and I are using, and I don't think I've ever done this sort of thing before, where you're sort of streaming live without having to use a battery pack or satellite charge. Go ahead.
Right, no, you're right. It's great technology, and it's great to have. It makes it so much more convenient, I got to say that, in terms of for being a live reporter out here. And back to the point that I was making earlier, with all these campaign yard signs being stolen around the state, both Biden and Trump signs, if you can still hear me, police are saying, look, we normally see that in the days right before the election, but never this many signs being stolen this early on, which is an indication of how polarizing and how important this election is here in Wisconsin.
See if there's any. Andy, I'm not sure you can see
I can.
me. We have some technical breakup that we will work out. But Andy, some interesting stuff from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hope you have a good time at the convention to the extent that there is a convention. We appreciate your live report. Sure. And a reminder to everybody, you can always watch Quick Hits News. We publish each day at about 5 o'clock with our roundtable of journalists going through top news stories around the United States and across the world. And then we'll have more live coverage of the Democratic Convention. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. We'll have Michael Schur with some analysis about our It is a remarkable technology that will only get better. So, Andy, we will figure out this connection and get back to you later in the week.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.
So that I think we will end the broadcast now, just because of the technical issues. But on behalf of Andy Roseman, I'm David Schuster. Live coverage of the Democratic Convention tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time on Quick Hits News. You can get us streaming on YouTube, on our Facebook